Welcome to One Question with Uptop Health. And our question today is, which of the four components is most important to create empathetic UX design? And Michael, could you go first, please?
Yeah, sure, John. So just to remind you guys, the four components of empathetic UX design is visual design, transparency, content, and social proof. And all of these are important in building empathy and establishing trust. However, if you had to start with one, arguably, I would have to say it would be visual design. And the reason why I'm saying that is, I'm not choosing this category because it's the most important, but naturally it is the first thing that we see as humans and react to when looking at a web experience. And again, by visual design, I'm speaking broadly in terms of brand, UI, layout, and really summing that up as how professional does a digital experience look. So think about when people visit a website for the first time, there's about a 5-second test. You guys may have heard about a 5-second test that the site must answer. One, am I at the right place? Is this site legitimate? And does it look trustworthy? In that 5 seconds, what you'll be doing as a user is scanning the page for visual cues that might help you answer these questions. And those visual cues could include visual polish, reinforcing headlines and text, imagery. But we're working really hard on that first impression. And if we're speaking of a website, for example, to get consumers to sign up for medical insurance, this is extremely important because a customer may look elsewhere if those boxes aren't checked. Now, if we're speaking of a member portal, as an example, after a customer has signed up, it's not as easy for them to just turn away at that point. But however, building trust and engagement with that customer is now of importance throughout the terms of that relationship. So if you do this well, you'll build loyalty along the way and eventually retention. But just to wrap up, going back to visual as the first thing to consider, because of all the things that I mentioned, but once a user checks that box, they'll quickly move on to that next category. And those categories that I mentioned earlier of content, transparency, social proof, that's when a user will actually dig deeper into your website and start to read things. So that's my feeling on that.
Craig, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, the only thought I have, obviously, because Mike heads up our design and strategy with our clients, is it all really comes back to understanding who the users are and what they're trying to do. And when I say understand who they are and what they're trying to do, it's also understanding what obstacles they may have. So accessibility, being mindful of how you treat the color, how you treat the font, how you treat the size of the buttons and the controls, especially in a mobile screen type layout. Things like that are all part of empathy, being able to understand it from the other person's perspective or walk a mile in their shoes, if you will. So that's the only thing I would have to add is, don't just look at the visual aesthetics of the design, but really make sure that it's mapping to that end user's perspective and what they're going through in that context to interact with your website, your portal, your app. So that's all I would have to add.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.